G'day! We all know Australia is some of the best bands in the world. But do you know who the best band is? Well, no, of course. It's subjective. But I'm going to be telling you my new favourite band right now. And they're called Private Function. And they are a punk rock group out of Melbourne. No. Don't click off just yet, because we're not going to be looking at their music. Because we don't have to. So here's the 5 reasons why Private Function fuck you. I've seen the recent news articles of artists having to cancel their shows halfway through because they've managed to injure themselves while performing. It is usually because someone threw a beer at their head, but nonetheless, people have been cancelling their shows because of it. Well, no one's told Private Function this, as if you take a quick look at the band, you'll realise very quickly that the lead singer manages to injure himself a lot. Yes, really a lot. Most of the photos has his head usually split open, or even better, a sliced open hand. Now, you might be wondering yourself, how do you get such injuries? And well, it is quite simple. The lead singer likes to use the crowd as an extended stage, and the rafters of your venue as just something to hang upside down off to sing. Yes, that's because Private Function has some of the most wild and insane shows currently going around. But it's not just the lead singer who goes insane, as the rest of the band members are just as wild as he is, as usually they're throwing the guitars up in the air or just acting like absolute lunatics during their live sets, which makes them so awesome, and which is why you should go and see them. And that gets to move us on to number 4. Although Private Function is a punk rock group, they know how to celebrate the holidays, as they have a yearly Christmas show that they've managed to top year after year. Now, this is because the first show they've ever had was a Christmas show, and last year was their 5th anniversary, and honestly seemed like the most insane live music event you could have gone to in Australia, as they managed to get the Forum in Melbourne. Now, instead of them having a max capacity forum, they decided to cut down and lose money, as they added a full-size wrestling ring in front of the stage. Yes, that's right. If you went and saw their set, you would actually see live wrestling happen in front of you as a bad play behind them. Well, not actually behind them, they actually joined in on wrestling and decided to get thrown around with them. They managed to start the set off with the lead singer bursting forth, a white lady's funeral coffin being carried by some very buff men. Now, because last year's show was absolutely insane, I honestly can't wait to see how they're going to top this year's performance, as they've got their 6th anniversary coming up. Now, you probably don't want to miss this event, as it's going to be absolutely wild, as I'm assuming they're going to be trying to top last year's event. But that's going to move us on to number 3. Physical releases and vinyl colorways. Why the hell am I talking about that in 2023? Well, thanks to the recent push for modern bands to put their music onto physical releases, there's been an explosion in vinyls, with different colorways and limited edition drops for fans to collect, and I believe Private Function has been leading the charge for a bit, with all of their physical releases that they've put out so far. Starting with the release of their first EP, 6 Smoking Songs, they released it on the timeless form of media, the cassette. Because being a punk rock band, they knew that none of their target audience had a car that was newer than 2004. Which is probably why they released their second EP, Rock and Roll, also only on cassette. The debut album is where things started to get a bit spicy for the band. Titled Saint Anger, they released this finally on vinyl and not on cassette. Now, they released the album with 2 different album cover arts, one being the regular one, and the second one being a censored black artwork edition, which you had to be fast enough to get as it sold out pretty quickly. Now, the band also released a couple of custom colorways for this vinyl. Actually, they released almost 20 different colorways for this one single album. Talk about kicking a dead horse.
Stop! He's already dead!
Yes, this band is a vinyl collector's wet dream or their hellish nightmare, as it will take an absolutely heroic effort to be able to collect all the vinyls just for this one album. And that's not to even include the other 2 albums that they've released so far, which also come along with multiple different colorways. But if you thought custom colorways vinyls are cool, wait till you see reason number 2. Now, it is rare, but bands in the past have put stuff inside their vinyls, either being liquid or physical objects. But not that many Australian bands have done this. And this is where Private Function is really pioneering the way forward. With their first album, where Private Function sold their Liquid Red edition, which had red liquid floating inside of a vinyl. And this was followed up with their second album, Whose Line Is It Anyway, when they announced their Mystery Baggy vinyl, which, if you couldn't guess it, had mystery baggies pressed inside of a physical vinyl. And these 2 vinyls paved their way through for their latest release, for their album 3770HSSV 0773H, or if you flipped it upside down, And with the announcement of their latest album and their new limited gold edition, I'm going to let Chris from Private Function explain exactly what was inside of that vinyl.
Beep 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 beep. Beep 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 beep. Hey everyone, how you going? Chris here from Still on Top Records. I'm making this little video today to do the unveiling of the new Private Function Gold record. I think you've probably guessed what it is. I'm just gonna lay it on the line for you. We've gotten liquid discs and we've filled them with our own piss. So, congratulations if you bought one.
So, with that covering all of their vinyls, I'm going to move on to the last reason why I think Private Function is one of the best bands in Australia. Giveaways. Now, it's pretty common for bands to give away free tickets, free t-shirts, and all that stuff, but I don't think any band does it quite like Private Function. So here's a short history of all the giveaways that they've run. We'll start when they released their first 2 EPs on vinyl. Now, when they released Six Smoking Songs and Rock and Roll, they actually only physically released them on cassette. So a couple of years later, they combined them together and decided to put them on vinyl. And they teamed up with a very unlikely food company to go along with their promotion. If you had pre-ordered the album, 10 lucky people win the chance to win a job application for Subway along with a letter of recommendation from the band as to why you should be hired at Subway. We also ran another competition where if you had pre-ordered Whose Line Is It Anyway, 20 lucky winners would actually receive a glow-in-the-dark version shipped over from Germany. For their latest album, they ran a very fair competition, and you can see how you could have been the first person to own this album.
G'day everybody, Chris from Still on Top Records here. How you doing? Hey, we've been packaging the records all today and all yesterday, getting them out. I'm so insanely tired, and I was getting pushed to think of a competition, so I'd thought of one, which is if you want to be the first person to get your hands on the copy of this record right here, well, guess what? It's on the roof of this red rooster. All right.
And you might wonder, why would people climb on top of a red rooster to get this album? And there's a reason for it. It's actually such a good reason that it managed to get the album banned in the state of South Australia. And that's because the album was a legal scratch fee. And if you had managed to get yourself 3 big bananas, which you can sadly see I did not get 3 big bananas, you would have won $3,000 and your face would have been the cover-up for the rest of time. Now, this album managed to get itself banned in the state of South Australia because it's illegal scratchy and didn't abide by its gambling laws. And in the week that this album was completely banned from being able to be sold, the fans had already started building a black market to be able to sneak this album into the state. But with all this media publicity, they quickly got an exemption from the Premier of South Australia, which means that their album was no longer banned within the state. And that's the 5 reasons why I think Private Function is the best band currently going around Australia. Flat me in the comments if you disagree. Otherwise, cheers for watching. If you want to see me talk more about the music industry, it's more just me shitting on Triple J and Splendor. Click here. I don't actually know where it is. Otherwise, see you.